everyone. I'm Mike Shruggy, president of GNPI, Good News Productions International, here in Joplin, Missouri. And this is another fresh episode of Faith Greater Than Fear. For those of you who've been regular watchers and observers, we have been doing this since the mark of the beginning of the pandemic over a year ago now. And we're in season 2 of Faith Greater Than Fear because we're in season 2 of the pandemic. And so we are having the opportunity to still talk to people of faith and people who are leaders. And today I've got a really great personal friend of mine, Jon Taylor, with us. Jon, welcome.
Thanks, Mike. Really a pleasure to be with you today.
Great. Tell us where you're at and a little about your family.
I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, where we are already warm, and as we are most of the year. But anyway, been married to June it will be 35 years this August. And we have 2 adult sons that both live here in the Valley. One of them is married and had our first granddaughter just a year ago. And so we're very excited about getting to see her grow up. And that's where I am.
So Phoenix, one of the places where the pandemic has hit, was in the news some. Tell me how it affected your family and ministry.
Yeah, well, our granddaughter, it affected us personally greatly. Our granddaughter was due right as a month, I'd say, or a month or 2 after the pandemic really ramped up. And she had a known heart condition, and that was going to require open heart surgery pretty quickly after she was born. So really, really impacted us as we tried to walk along with our son and his wife and all that they were going through, the unknowns, not only being first-time parents, but now dealing with a really big deal with her heart, and then add COVID on top of that. And it was really a tough season for them. She had that surgery when she was 8 days old, and it was successful. And so we're very grateful for that. But that, of course, COVID impacted everything, following that. She was in the hospital, ended up for about 3 months, and because she had some other issues as well. And so just really trying to walk alongside them. Only one of them could be in the hospital at a time. So just trying to support them and encourage them however we could, and keep ourselves safe, obviously, so that they could be safe whenever we did get to see them. But happy to report she's doing very, very well, and has it's been really, really good to be with them and walk with them through this season. Also, personally, on the church front, we have not been back yet. The church has been meeting regularly, but because of our granddaughter and her situation and an elderly mother, my wife's mother here in town, really felt like we needed to keep ourselves safe for their sake. And so that's had a big impact. I am an elder at our local congregation. And so it's impacted that, obviously. Did small group via Zoom for a very long time. We've been meeting now in our backyard in person, which has been great to be able to do that. And of course, the impact on the organization was really deep with Coaching Mission International. And we provide coaching and coach training to mission leaders around the world. And so most of our foundational trainings have always been face-to-face. And so when we could not do that last year, we really had to change some things about how we operated, and able to change that into an online foundational training. All of our advanced courses have been online for years now, but really had to switch that foundational one up around, but we had to delay them as well. So impacted the financial picture of the organization. It just had impacts all over the place.
So let's unpack. We got 3 different places there. Let's go back to the personal first of all. Glad to hear granddaughter's doing well. Taking first steps, I understand.
Yes, she is. Just a couple of weeks ago. Very exciting.
Great. What lessons did you and your wife, June, take away from the pandemic from then and that journey and just life in general? What was God teaching Jon Taylor?
It was really interesting to, first of all, relate to them and the level of fear that they were experiencing. I mean, we all know what the media has done to just, heap fear upon fear during this entire season, but just trying to really help them back away from that fear and the idea that you can't control what anybody else is doing. You can only control what you are doing. So, in keeping ourselves safe and all of that, really had to walk them back from, the edge of where they were with a lot of those feelings. But the lessons that we were taught through that season were really, especially family, but even broader than that. I don't know what someone else is experiencing right now in this. I don't know what they're going through. I don't know how it's impacting them on personal, work, whatever levels it might be. So we needed to learn how to kind of back off of how we were thinking about it and consider, how is this impacting this person? If we were relating to them either on a Zoom call or the rare occasions when we were in person, just really focusing on how is this impacting you? Let's process that with you, and let's kind of see where God is in the midst of all of this situation.
Putting ourselves in the other person's shoes sounds very much like Jesus. Not as a shepherd, talking about Jesus, our great shepherd. You're an elder there in the leadership role. What have you seen maybe grow that you didn't expect, and what challenges, obvious, that you've seen in leadership at the local church level because of the pandemic?
Yeah, like everybody else, we shut down right away. I think it was late May, the last Sunday in May last year, when people started meeting together. But really just walking with the staff of the church to continue to, encourage them to say, we do have to shift, we have to transition things. But really, the positives that came out of it for the church were on the front of, digital platform, live streaming services, those kind of things. We had been way behind the curve, especially compared to larger churches in a lot of that area, but really had to figure that out fairly quickly. The staff did a fantastic job at the church. And then from then on, it was, all of the adjustments that had to be made. So how did we as the elders just kind of walk with them through that, especially senior leadership, and just kind of, reassure them, you're doing a great job. We're progressing nicely here. We've just got to trust God in what he's doing in all of this. And so it's made for us to, we've just also started a large initiative and a discipling program that we were doing. I hesitate to use the word program, a discipling initiative that we were doing. And had to back off of that initially. We've kind of restarted that now. And so just, okay, God, where are you in this? What do you have for us? How do you want us to respond? But really some of the things I talked about on the personal level as well. We don't know what everybody is going through. So how do we as a leadership respond to the different needs of people, shepherd them better, closer, maybe is a good way to put that, shepherd them closer, especially those that can't get out, couldn't get out, the different needs that people had, really paying attention to what those were and seeing how we can meet those.
Moving from more of just the program and task orientation to the individualized shepherding care. That's what I'm hearing, John, both at the personal level, finding out where the situation is, and then just a lot of it, probably just being a good cheerleader for your staff.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that really stuck out to me personally, again, as well as for the church is, early on people were saying, we're all in this together. And the idea that really resonated with me when I heard it was, we're all in the same storm, but we're in different boats. And so what's going on in my boat can be very different than what someone else is going on in their boat, and et cetera. So we're all riding out the same storm together, but we're in different boats. And so I need to get close enough to their boat to see what's going on in their boat so I can best respond to that personally, as well as a leader in the church.
I love that. That's a great metaphor, because if you're an individual, you're not married, or an older individual, a widower, and you're not prepared and you don't have any digital communications, and so your boat is small and you're the only one in the boat, boy, those waves can really play havoc of the pandemic. Whereas somebody who has a large family, who's younger, is digitally savvy, connected to a good network, they've got a bigger boat and they got more people in the boat. So the rock is not near as big. But you gotta, like you said, you gotta drift next door and say, hello, mate, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, and even can we tie our boats together, and how can we, do that to really ride this out together? And let's share, what we can to help each other ride this out. Yeah.
Yeah. Great, great. So that's on the personal, that's on the church local level. Got CMI on someone's shirt there. Tell us a little bit more. You alluded to it from the organizational level. Tell our audience just a little bit of what you lead.
Okay. Happy to. Yeah. Coaching Mission International, we provide high quality coaching and coach training from missionaries, skilled experts who help other missionaries overcome whatever challenges they're facing on the field, whatever area they're working in, so that they can more effectively fulfill their calling. That's really what we are all about, is coming alongside missionaries. That's the sole focus of our work and of our ministry, national leaders as well included in that, but really want to come alongside them and help them be more effective in what God has called them to do. So to that end, again, we provide coaching to missions leaders. We provide coach training to missions leaders. And for those of your audience that aren't maybe necessarily that familiar with what coaching is, it's different than athletic coaching. That's not what it is. But coaching is a thought-provoking conversational process, really, that inspires and engages people to unlock their God-given potential, to be able to maximize their growth, and really, again, to come alongside them and support the fulfillment of whatever it is that they're doing that God has called them to do. So it's different from counseling and mentoring and coaching, and that counseling is, let's look to the past, let's bring healing to the hurt. Mentoring is, here's what God has given me, and I want to share that with you. And coaching is, I want to draw out of you what God has placed in you. So that's what we do. We provide trainings in different locations in the world, and again, now online. We provided one there in Joplin last December, looking forward to doing another one this August. And so we're very excited about that opportunity. But that's really the heart of again, what we do. We want to support missions leaders. We want to help them overcome challenges, because the attrition rate for missionaries, for missions leaders is really high. And whatever we can do to come alongside them and help them stay on the field longer, to be more effective, that's what we want to do through coaching.
Thank you. And for our audience, he mentioned one in Joplin. I had the opportunity, and part of my executive team from GNPI, Good News Products International here, we tasted some of that teaching and training. And Jon was one of our coaches. And Jon, you did a great job, as did your team. And we're in the middle of practicing and putting into action what we've learned. And I can personally attest, it has affected me in a good, positive way. And I've been thrilled with the opportunity of the people I've already gotten to coach. I'm on my fourth individual. Normally they have about 5 or 6 sessions of individuals. So some really cool things to unlock what God is doing in their lives, and to see them come alive and go, wow, I had no idea that God was kind of ready to do these things that I could do if I just had some action steps, if I just had some encouragement, if I just had somebody to hold me accountable week after week for a little bit to create a habit. Good stuff.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that, Mike. And it's true. We've heard story after story. We provided, now in the history of the organization, we're 15 years old this year, but over the course of our history, we've provided over 60,000 hours of coaching to over 4,500 mission leaders in 110 different countries around the world, through our people that we have trained, as well as through our own coaches. And yeah, the impact can be very, very significant. One leader just very quickly had said to us, before I started coach training, I was ready to hang up my missions hat. I just thought that God was done with me in this location. They'd gone through a very difficult season in their life. They were burned out. And coaching, they described it, coaching came to me as a cup of cold water. And 10 years later, this leader says, I'm not only still engaged in ministry, but I'm thriving in my sweet spot and impacting nations through what God is doing in me. So that's the power of coaching and what it can do for leaders. And one of the ways that we were impacted through COVID, to get back to your earlier question, Mike, was that we were able to walk alongside a lot of leaders that were in transition. I mean, COVID upset a lot of missionaries' lives. They had to come back to the US or whatever their home country was. They had to shift the work that they were doing. And so right away, we offered free coaching to anybody that was in that situation. A lot of leaders took advantage of that situation or took advantage of that opportunity. And they also received coaching beyond that. Some of them are now in our training just because they saw the impact that it had on them. And so, again, we had to adjust, we had to pivot, but with our main, core function being upholding the leaders that are on the field, and we want to impact nations in that way. That was one of the easy ways and quick ways that we were able to respond to COVID, and how we were able to come alongside leaders and provide that for them at that time.
Great to hear, and it's a great organization. If they want to get a hold of you, how are the best to do that?
Coachingmission.com is our website, and it lists all of our different coaching packages that we offer. It also lists our training offerings. We have one online that's coming up very quickly. And we also are doing the one in Joplin that I mentioned. We're also doing an on-site in North Carolina this year in September. So we're excited about those training opportunities. And anybody would like more information, that's a great way to find it out. Or just email us at info@coachingmission.org.
I highly encourage you, if you're interested. It's a fabulous tool to have in your toolbox, making a global impact. In wrapping up, man, 15 minutes are going quickly, Jon. What lessons would you like to share with our audience? First, personally, and then collectively as both a leader and a mission board. We'll put those together. So personally, what would you say? This is what I'd love for my listeners to take away today.
Yeah, for me personally, one of the main lessons was to lean into to God and to really ask him what he's doing in a particular season. It may only be a personal thing. It may be something like COVID that we've all shared together. But for me, as a leader of an organization, it was really that tension back and forth of, how do we trust you, God, in this, but we've still got to, have some income. We've still got to have revenue to be able to do the ministry that we're doing. So there was a real tension between the faith aspect and the fear, to the point of this recording. But the lesson that I learned was, we need to do what we can do, but trust God to do what only he can do. And for me, that was, God, I trust you in the finances. I'll contact who I need to contact and who I can, but really it's all about what you are doing, God. So lean into that, ask him what he's doing, say, how do you want to meet me in this, God? How do you want to come alongside me and walk with me? What do you want me to learn during this season? There's a lot of great coaching questions that can be asked during a time like that. So for me personally, that's what it is. For us organizationally, it was just, okay, God, you've got something going on here. Again, we want to lean into you. We want to see what you're up to, and just really see what opportunities, not just look at we can't do this right now, but okay, what opportunities are there as a result of this? And like I said, coming alongside leaders, offering free coaching, that kind of thing was one of those, just an example of one of those kinds of opportunities.
That's awesome. I've been reflecting on some of what you've said in my own life. And my dad was a very frugal farmer. And one of the things he did was take an old rearview mirror from an old car and used it downstairs where we had no mirrors or anything to do his shaving. And I've thought about that a lot. And I have that actual mirror yet. My father has since passed away. But when you take that rearview mirror up close, it does a fabulous job of showing what you just have filling the mirror, your face and the color and the whiskers in his case. But that's not the real purpose of a rearview mirror. A rear view mirror is to be pulled away about 2 feet, and hung in a position so that you get to do two things. We get to, number one, while we're present and driving, in the present, we get to look in the mirror at what we just passed, but we also get to see what's developing. In the case of a car that's texting and doesn't really see us, or we see an ambulance, don't hear it, but we see it in the rearview mirror. So from the present, when it's adjusted correctly, we can see the past and the future. And I think that our eyes on COVID is like getting that rearview mirror adjusted at just the right length, so that we can do just what you said. Let it teach us. Let it lean into it. Let us do what we can do, and then let God do what he can do. And it really has been a useful metaphor from my father's past, and hopefully useful to our audience today. Jon Taylor, CMI there in Phoenix, thank you, good friend, for joining us on this edition of Faith Greater Than Fear.
Yeah, my pleasure again. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So all of you, we hope you enjoyed this lovely chat with Jon. If you have, there's probably others in your circle of influence that would as well. So share it on your social media channels. There is a podcast version as well. And so, as we said, we do continue these, not as often as we used to last year, but we still have both a fresh version every couple of weeks and a remixed version every couple of weeks is coming up as well. So we alternate. So stay tuned to those. And we do, in the meantime, pray blessings on you, and may your faith be greater always than your fear. God bless you.